Hello, I'm Will. I'm here with Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 31 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine today. With this issue you get a Stormcast Eternals Lord-Exorcist model. And as usual, if you would like to skip to the battle report, there's a timecode in the description, or you can click on the chapters in the progress bar. Having a look in the issue, we've got a description of the Lord-Exorcist. Here's a diagram showing all his various equipment, his redemption stave, his Redemptor casket on the top, the soul scales, tome of exorcism, and so forth. These are powerful wizards of the Stormcast Eternals. They were all holy men in their former lives. They are experts with prayers of banishment of demons and ghosts and whatnot. And the scales on top of their staves can apparently weigh a soul and determine whether it is possible to be redeemed. Then we have Magic in the Mortal Realms Part 3, something talking about celestial and gold magic here, another two of the winds of magic, associated with the realms of heavens and metal respectively. We have some endless spells here, the chronomantic cogs and quicksilver swords, all predatory spells that go around until dispelled. And then over the page some more Ravanax Gnashing Jaws and the Burning Head, and then amber magic, which is the realm of beasts, and bright magic associated with the realm of fire. Then we have our build guide for the Lord-Exorcist. He's very simple, comes on a single sprue. Only goes together in one way, which is detailed here, and it's easy to put together, only 3 steps. And then his painting guide is the same as usual for the Stormcast Eternals, which is paint gold, we've seen this before, shade and dry brush with silver. He's got a blue cloak, using Corax white for the inside of the cloak, Abaddon black for the sort of undersuit of his armour, red for leather parts, Rakarth flesh for his stole and the pages of his book. Then we've got some shades, Agrax Earthshade and Narn Oil. And that is the finished miniature so far. It looks quite good. So that's it for our magazine. We'll be having a look at the battle content and getting into our game.
So before we can go into our game for this issue, we've got to look at the war scroll for our new Lord-Exorcist. He's got a fairly similar stat line to the other Stormcast characters, with a 5-inch move, 5 wounds, 3+ save and bravery 9. He has his redemption stave as his weapon. He's got a 2-inch range, 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, -1 rend and d3 damage, so slightly better than the Knight Incantor in melee. His staff also has the Redemptor casket on the end, the sort of ghost trap kind of thing, which means at the start of the Stormcast shooting phase you can roll a dice for each demon or Nighthaunt unit within 6 inches of the Lord-Exorcist. On a 4+ they take a mortal wound. He's also a wizard, so he knows Mystic Shield and Arcane Bolt, but he also knows the Purifying Blast spell, which has a casting value of 5. And if successfully cast, you roll a dice for each enemy unit within 6 inches of him. You add the unit's bravery characteristic to their roll, and if the result is less than 10, they take d3 mortal wounds, and you halve the bravery characteristic for death and demon units for that roll. So basically all the Nighthaunt stuff is going to be bravery 5. Got some examples of them in use on the next page. And we also have an updated war scroll for the Guardian of Souls. It includes the Maul of Judgment weapon for some reason, which he doesn't have. The only other new thing is he now knows the Spectral Lure spell as well, which has a casting value of 6. And if successfully cast, you can pick a friendly Nighthaunt unit with the summonable keyword, wholly within 24 inches of him, and you can either heal d6 wounds that have been allocated to that unit, or, if there are no wounds that have been allocated to that unit, you can return a number of slain moles to it that have a combined wounds characteristic equal to or less than the roll of a d6. So I think pretty much everything in the Nighthaunt range we have so far is summonable, apart from characters. And most of those only have 1 wound, so you're basically going to be bringing back d6 morals if you cast it on them. The only exception is the Spirit Hosts, you have 3 wounds each, so if you cast it on Spirit Hosts, you're either going to heal a wounded one, or you can bring back either 1 or 2, depending if you roll a 3 or more or a 6. And again on the next page we have examples of both of those abilities in use. It also mentions the Now My Lantern ability has, which lets friendly nearby Nighthaunt models add 1 to their wound rolls, which is definitely handy. And now we have a tutorial for battle plans. So we've seen plenty of battle plans so far. This is just explaining how to set up how territory works, how to set up your units. Basically a battle plan will tell you how you do so, but it gives some examples like territory at either end of the board, or maybe your territory is the board is split evenly between the 2 players, but you have to deploy 9 inches away from the enemy territory. And also how to use objectives. So battle plans often use objectives, so it will tell you exactly where to place them, give some examples, and usually the victory conditions for the battle plan will involve holding these objectives, and it's usually whoever has the most moles within a certain distance that controls an objective. So now we can actually look at our game for this issue. So the little bit of fiction here about the Guardian of Souls leading some Nighthaunt through Spikefrond Thicket to try and relieve the siege of Summersong. The Stormcast are in the way, however, stopping the Nighthaunt reinforcements from arriving. So we have the Guardian of Souls, 10 Chainmasts and 3 Spirit Hosts, facing off against the Lord-Exorcist, 5 Secators and 3 Castigators. You can see on the map we have an objective in the middle of the battle mat. The layout is going to be basically the same, but one thing to note is that our territory is actually 6 inches as opposed to sort of having to figure out exactly where it is. So we'll start very slightly closer to each other. So we set up the battlefield with the terrain. We alternate setting up units one at a time, starting with the Nighthaunt player. The Nighthaunt player gets the first battle round. And the game ends at the end of the 5th battle round, so we actually have to keep track of how many battle rounds have taken place. The player who controls the objective is victorious, and whoever controls the objective is the person with the most models within 6 inches of the centre of it. And just down here we have some objectives to photocopy and cut out, but I'm actually going to make my own objectives for this. So we'll set up the board and get into the game. So we have the battlefield set up in the usual configuration with all the terrain. We have our objective here in the middle, using a 32mm base. Is basically exactly the same size as the ones you could cut out. I've got my Nighthaunt deployed over on the right, pointing within my territory, so I have the Chainmasts and the Guardian of Souls and then the Spirit Hosts. And over on the Stormcast side, we have the 5 Secators, the Lord-Exorcist and the 3 Castigators. So there's a quick overview of the battlefield. And we actually get to use the special numbers on our dice box as we head into battle round 1, where the Nighthaunt will get the first turn. Well, in my hero phase I'll gain a command point, and the Guardian of Souls is going to try and cast Mystic Shield, needing a 6, getting a 9.
I am within 30 inches, I might as well try and unbind.
Yeah.
There's no downside.
You did?
I did. Oh, well.
I do have to figure out where it's going to go, what I was going to cast it on. And in my movement phase we're just going to move up a little bit. The Spirit Host is going to move up 3 inches. Chainmasts are going to move into the ruin, and the Guardian of Souls is going to move in between. That's going to be the end of my turn, because it's far too far away for charging. I haven't got any shooting or anything, so it'll be on to Stormcast turn 1.
So I gain command point in my hero phase, and then both of my damage spells are out of range, so I'm going to try and cast Mystic Shield as well. Needing a 6, getting a 6.
And I might as well try and unbind that. Needing a 7, only getting a 6.
It's actually kind of pointless. I'm going to put it on the Castigators, because actually the Nighthaunt can't reach me in their next turn, even if they go first, so it's probably not going to matter, but never mind. I'm going to move up a short distance as well, not their full movement, so this gets the Castigators in range, the Lord-Exorcist in range to use Arcane Bolt next turn if I get to go first, and make sure that I'm out of range of Arcane Bolt if the Nighthaunt go first next battle round. So we'll be on to the shooting phase. And the Castigators will open fire on the Spirit Hosts. And as usual, we will do power to accuracy with their Thunderhead Great Bows, because that lets me reroll 1s to hit. Just to say again, I'll always do that one even if I don't mention it, because the increase in rend is irrelevant against Nighthaunt, so I just always assume to be doing this one. We'll use a red dice for the prime because he hits on the 2, and the others hit on 3s, rerolling 1s. They all hit, and we've got 2 6s, which generate D3 hits each. So we'll roll that. No, 3. So 3 hits total. Wounding on 3s, 2.
Spirit Host have a 4+ save. Failed both, so a Spirit Host goes down to 1 wound. And I'll put that on the one furthest away. But yeah, that's going to be it for this battle round, because again, we're too far away for any melee fighting. So we're on to battle round 2, and we're going to roll off. I get a 2.
I get a 1, so you get the choice.
I'm going to pick to go first, just to see if I can cast Spectral Law and heal that Spirit Host. So we'll head into Nighthaunt turn 2. So I will gain a command point, and the Guardian of Souls will attempt to cast Spectral Law, needing a 6. Getting a 4, so fails to cast. And then in my movement phase we're just going to move up a little bit again. So the Chainmasts technically hold that objective. There are some of them within 6 inches of it, but hopefully make it kind of hard for the Stormcast to charge. And we'll head into Stormcast turn 2.
So in my hero phase I gain command point, and then we're going to try and use Arcane Bolt, because if it goes off I might be able to finish off that wounded Spirit Host. Needing 5, getting an 11, so that's the big version.
Might as well try and stop that with a 12. Nope.
So it does D3 mortal wounds. 2, okay, was a little bit better.
Wounded Spirit Host dies. This one goes down to 2.
I decided we're going to move up and take the fight to the Nighthaunt, so the Secators have moved up this here, getting in range of the objective, but also within range to declare a charge. The Lord-Exorcist has fallen in behind them, and the Castigators have moved across, so that just they're a little bit better protected at the rear, and then we'll be on to the shooting phase. We will declare shooting at the Spirit Hosts again, see if I can possibly pick off that wounded one. So 3 shots again, red is the prime, hitting on 3s or 2s, rerolling 1s. 3 hits, but no 6s. Wounding on 3s, 3 wounds.
4 plus saves. Made all of them.
And then the Secretors will declare a charge in the charge phase. Probably needing about an 8. Getting a 5, I will spend a command point to re-roll that. The command ability. Nope, not 7, it's definitely not enough, so no charge.
And that'll be the end of the battle round again. So we head into battle round 3, and we're rolling off again.
3.
6. I will go first. So my hero phase will gain a command point, and then the Guardian of Souls will attempt to cast Mystic Shield. Needing a 6, gaining a 10.
I will try and unbind. Nope, not with the 4.
Should have gone for Arcane Bolt, but whatever. I'm going to put Mystic Shield on the Chain Rasps. So in my movement phase, we're going to move up as close as we can. So the Chain Rasps are going to end up just over 3 inches away of the Stormcast, and the Spirit Hosts are going to end up just over 4 inches away of this Secretary here. We'll be on to the charge phase. I'll start with the Chain Rasps because they're the most important one. Yeah, needing a 3, sorry. Getting a 4, that's enough. Yeah, so 4 inches is easy enough to get the Chain Rasps into contact with the Secretors, and they're able to fight in 2 ranks because 25mm is just under an inch. And the Spirit Hosts are also going to charge. Get to go 6 inches. I'll see how far that gets him, see if I want to re-roll that. So the Spirit Hosts are going to finish their charge like that. So they're still just wholly within 12 of the Guardian of Souls, the bonus from the Nightmare Lantern. And in the fight phase, Secretors get to choose whether they're going to do power to weapons or shields.
I'm going to do power to shields, etheric channeling, because they're going to be hit a lot.
And in the fight phase, I'm going to choose the Chain Rasps to go first. So we have 21 attacks hitting on 4s. Oof. So that's 17 hits. Wounding on 3s, because we get +1 from the Guardian of Souls. So you get 11 wounds in total.
Then we got 4 plus saves, but re-rolling fails because of power to shields. It's quite a few fails. Good job we get to re-roll. We still failed 4 though, so that's still 2 whole Secretors being killed. So unsurprisingly, we will take out the 2 generic Secretors with the mauls. I'm going to pick the Lord-Exorcist to fight because he is within 3 inches of stuff, and he's within 2 inch weapon range of the Spirit Host, so I'm going to use him to try and knock them out. He has 4 attacks which hit on 3s. 3 hits. He wounds on 3s. 2 wounds.
4 plus saves. Made both. So I picked the Spirit Host to go next, and they're going to pile in. This one's going to pile in. I could put his attacks on the Lord-Exorcist, but I think we're just going to attack the Secretors instead, and they're still wholly within 12 of the Guardian of Souls. So we've got 12 attacks hitting on 5s, and if I roll any 6s, I don't need to bother rolling to wound, I'll just call them mortal wound instead. So I got 2 6s and 1 5, so that's 2 mortal wounds are going to go straight away, and then a single 5 which wounds on a 3. It does.
Will I get my 4 plus save re-rolling, because I still have a shield in the unit. Re-roll into a success. So we'll kill off one of the big maces, because if I take out the prime in the centre, then in the battle shock phase, someone else, one of these will have to run away anyway, because I won't be within 1 inch of each other.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the Cascaders to fight next. They're going to pile in and attack the Spirit Hosts, because if they can damage one, it depends where I might put my attacks with the Secretors, basically. So I've got 6 attacks hitting on 4s. 4 hits. Wounding on 4s. 2.
4 plus saves. Failed both, so the wounded Spirit Host will die, and then the Secretors will get to fight.
And they will attack the Chain Rasps. The big Great Mace, 2 attacks hitting on 3s. Both hit. Wounding on 3s. Both wound.
5 plus save, rerolling 1s. Oh, reroll that 1. Failed 1, so it's 2 dead so far.
And the prime, 3 attacks, 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, they did.
5 plus rerolling 1s, failed both, so 4 dead Chain Rasps. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it for the fight phase. We'll be on to the battle shock phase.
And I will spend a command point to make the Secretors automatically pass.
So it's on to Stormcast turn 3.
Yeah. Onto my hero phase, I gain that command point back, and then we'll try and use Purifying Blast, which is the Lord-Exorcist's special spell. Goes off on a 5. Get it with a 7.
I'm going to try and just unbind that, needing an 8. I do, that's important.
Onto my movement, I'm not going to retreat with anyone, so no movement. On to the shooting phase.
Yep.
At the start of the shooting phase, we can use the Lord-Exorcist's Redemptor Casket, which would, on a 4+ will do a mortal wound to any demon or death units within 6 inches of him. Rolling for the Chain Rasps, 4+, nope. And the Spirit Host, nope. Then the castigators will try and shoot at the spirit host, which they're engaged in combat with. Hitting on 3s or 2s, rerolling 1s. We've got 3 hits. Wounding on 3s, 2.
4 plus save. Made 1, failed 1. Down to 2 wounds.
So onto the fight phase, we'll choose to do power to weapons with the Secretors, and I'll pick them to attack first. They will put all their attacks on the Chain Rasps. Great Mace hitting on 3s, 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, 2 wounds.
5 plus rerolling 1s. Fail both. 4 dead Chain Rasps.
And the Prime, 3s, rerolling. Yep, 3 hits. Wounding on 3s, just 1.
5 plus rerolling 1s. Made it. 2 Chain Rasps remaining. I guess I'll pick the Spirit Host to go, because it will probably die next, so I'll put all of its attacks on the Secretors, I guess. 6 attacks, hitting on 5s. 6s cause mortal wounds, that's 2 mortal wounds and a single hit. Wounds on a 3, it does not.
So 2 mortal wounds will take out the Prime, because she's probably less effective in combat. I'll do the Castigators next, because they have a chance of taking out this Spirit Host. 6 attacks on 4s. We've got 3 hits. Wounding on 4s. No, none.
Chain Rasps going to pile in across to get into contact with the remaining Secretor. 5 attacks hitting on 4s, getting a single hit. Wounds on a 3, it does.
4 plus save, failed.
Down to 1 wound.
And that leaves the Lord-Exorcist to go. He's within weapon range of the Chain Rasps, but I think he'll try and finish off the Spirit Host to stop the Guardian of Souls bringing any back or healing it. 4 attacks hitting on 3s, only 2 hits. Wounding on 3s, 1.
4 plus save. Failed.
It does D3 damage for 2, so that does have to take it.
Who dies? So it'd be the battle shock phase where the Chain Rasps are still bravery 10 and the Secretor's bravery 7, so they don't have to take any tests. That'll be the end of battle round 3. 4. We're going to roll off.
And I roll 6.
I did not.
So I will take the first turn. Right, I gain a command point. We go with Purifying Blast because it's the same roll to cast as Arcane Bolt and it does more damage potentially. Getting a 5, getting a 5.
We'll try and unbind that. Getting a 6, getting an 8.
In the movement phase, I'll just move the Castigators back slightly so the Chain Rasps can't pile in and bring them back into melee. Well, they might be able to, but just to be on the safe side. And we're on to shooting. Do the Redemptor cast skid again. 4 plus to wound the Chain Rasps. Oh, they take a mortal wound this time.
Just the Dread Warden left.
Castigators will shoot at the Guardian of Souls because he's not within Lookout range anymore. So needing 3s to hit, rerolling 1s, or 2, which will reroll for the Prime, into a hit, but 2 hits only. Wounding on 3s, 2.
4 plus saves. Made 1, failed 1, down to 4 wounds.
Brings us on to the fight phase. We'll do power to weapons with the Secretor, and I guess he'll try and hit the Dread Warden. So 2 attacks on 3s, rerolling. They both hit. They wound on 3s, 1 wound.
Come on, Dread Warden 5 plus. Oh. And that is the end of the 5 phase. I'm just going to concede at this point because I don't think the Guardian of Souls is going to kill off 4 models, especially a character who can mortal wound him to death quite easily.
It's battle round 4 and there's only 1 battle round left, so you probably don't physically have enough time to kill enough models to take that objective.
Quite easily just move the Castigators in. So we'll call that a Stormcast victory and recap that for you now. So that was the game for issue 31 of Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine. How did you think that went?
Pretty much as I expected it to go. 5 Secretors, as we know, are really good, and 10 Chain Rasps and 3 Spirit Hosts don't really dish out enough damage to get through them. I mean, you made a good go at it, but a really good roll with the Chain Rasps on the charge, but they still didn't do enough to reduce my damage output by much. Even without the Lord-Exorcist really getting to show off what he can do. So
yeah, you only did 1 mortal wound with his abilities, but yeah, you can certainly put out a lot of them. Potentially, I managed to unbind your 2 casts of Purifying Blast at least.
Exactly, because that can do D3 mortal wounds to everything within 6, which...
Yeah, he would make pretty quick work of the Guardian of Souls as well, and he's much better in melee than the Guardian of Souls. But I think possibly this scenario and this side of the board can make the Lord-Exorcist seem much more dangerous than he is as well. On a larger board, obviously, his 6-inch ability range might be too short to really be handy, depending on where you end up deploying him.
Yes, and we've said before about these smaller games, they do magnify the abilities of certain characters and certain abilities probably more than to look a little bit better than they probably are. Nevertheless, the Lord-Exorcist, I think if you had him in a larger game or a bigger army, would be the sort of character you want to be in the thick of the fighting so he can get to be using those abilities as much as possible. And he's definitely also a model you would bring specifically if you're fighting death or demon armies.
I can't imagine you'd take him against any of the others, really.
because his Purifying Blast is not nearly so good against armies where they have a high average bravery and they're not death or demons. You're not going to very often get wounds off against them. And likewise, his other special ability doesn't work against them. Amusingly, he seems to be better in melee than basically all my characters except the Lord Arcanum on Rift Charger.
Well, he is a lord, technically, not a knight, so that might be why.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. He is, I guess, sort of more like the same rank as the Lord Arcanum, so that's probably why he has 4 attacks.
And it is nice to... I think this is essentially the complete war scroll for the Guardian of Souls as well. You didn't really get to see Spectral Lore either, even though I'd actually say it's one of the best reasons to take the Guardian of Souls, because bringing back Chain Rasp is going to be really handy. I think it'd be more useful if I had a unit larger than 10, so I could keep it above 10, to keep the re-rolling wound rolls of 1 bonus.
Yeah, as you say, and because he only gets to cast 1 spell, if you use that, then you don't get to be doing Arcane Bolt instead, which is also good.
Ideally, I'd have another wizard to do that.
Yeah, exactly. The Guardian of Souls is kind of a support character for the Nighthaunt, who ideally you want to just be healing and bringing back models as much as possible.
It's also the fairly small army size. The issue with Spectral Lore is you need a unit to still be alive before you can bring models back. So a unit like 10 Chain Rasp could just dies too quickly, I think. It's quite easy for you to focus down a lot of the small units the Nighthaunt have currently, if you really don't want them to come back.
I guess tactics for countering the Guardian of Souls. For example, if you have a Spirit Host model that's just taken 1 wound, then you can heal that wound rather than bring models back. Whereas if no models have taken wounds, you can potentially bring quite a few back.
Spirit Hosts are the kind of inconvenient units to use Spectral Lore with.
But I focus most of my attacks on them because they've got a 4+ save and they're a bit scarier than Chain Rasps just because of those mortal wounds they can do.
Yeah, they're really relying on that. I've got 4 mortal wounds on only 2 hits. I think they roll pretty badly.
Yeah, as we said the first time we saw them, they're not necessarily reliable, but they are potentially scary. They could easily roll like 6 mortal wounds and that would go straight through Stormcast, which is kind of scary.
Kill a cat, kill your Lord-Exorcist outright.
Yeah, so that's why I was focusing on them more than the Chain Rasps. And actually, I was pleased with my Castigators this game. I've complained before that 3 Castigators don't do very much, but in this game they had a reasonably good... But yeah, they put out a steady stream of just 1 or 2 wounds on the Spirit Hosts, but...
Also, the scenario, I guess it is also nice that we finally get objectives to play with. It's not, even though this game was basically meet in the middle and murder everyone, future games might not be entirely like that. And there's actually a time limit on games now, so it's not just keep going until everyone's dead. Yeah. It makes the game slightly more interesting, and you have to think a little bit more about where you're going to move. I think quite a few people's copies of issue, 17 and 20, the ones with the Harridans, or 21, came with Blood Bowl style slaughter bases instead of plain bases, so those were eventually supplied. So I used those to build my Harridans, and then I'm going to use some of the slaughter bases to build objectives instead, since they're basically the right size, and I might as well use those bases for something, just to make them a bit more visually interesting than 2D paper. And I made mine just by gluing some rocks and some skulls from the Citadel skulls, which will be coming up in the next issue, and some spare spook from part of a spare Harridan that isn't used. Create a little spooky glow.
And I like the Lord-Exorcist model. He looks like a classic kind of priest-cleric kind of character type, which is something we haven't seen in the Stormcast up to this point, which I kind of like. Fits well with the rest of the Sacrosanct range, I think.
Yeah.
Sort of a ghost hunting cleric type. I don't know how practical his big reliquary ghost trap box on a stick would be in combat, but it looks kind of neat. I think it's suitably ridiculous with a big pair of scales on it and a...
It's the sort of thing it's probably easier to paint on the sprue and build it afterwards. I pretty much always build models and then paint them, but this might be a case where it's easier to paint that bit on the sprue. I don't think there's too much more to say about this issue or this game. Or let us know if you've used the Lord-Exorcist in your army, how you use him. That'd be quite interesting to know. Or if you have any comments about the game, leave them down below. And if you like this content, please leave a like and subscribe. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.